For decades, the world's economists had a favorite game: rank the tigers. Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia. Those were the names the textbooks printed. Those were the economies the investment banks tracked. Those were the nations the G20 noticed. The Philippines? An afterthought. A footnote. A nation described in global finance circles as perpetually almost there. But in 2026, something has shattered that condescension so completely that the most prestigious economic body on Earth published its first ever dedicated economic survey of a single Southeast Asian nation. Not Indonesia, not Vietnam, the Philippines. And quietly, behind closed doors in Washington, something even bigger has happened. The United States of America, the world's largest economy, has made a decision. Not a press release, not a diplomatic visit, a decision backed by billions of dollars, military agreements, and industrial policy. America has chosen the Philippines. And when America chooses a country, that country does not stay small for long. Today, we reveal 6 unstoppable forces, powered by Filipino genius and American strategic investment, that are about to launch the Philippine economy into a league the world wasn't prepared for. And number 1, it is the force that will determine whether the Philippines becomes a high-income nation by 2040. Miss this, and you'll miss the most important Filipino story of your lifetime. Stay until the end. Number 6, the semiconductor surge, and America is funding it. Let's start with a question nobody in Southeast Asia wants to answer. How does a nation go from assembling other people's chips to being the partner America trusts with its most critical technology? Here's the number that explains everything: $49 billion. That is what the Philippines exported in electronics and semiconductors in 2025 alone. Not over a decade, not since independence, in a single year. And here's the part that should stop you cold. That's not the peak, that's the launch pad. For years, the global semiconductor industry called the Philippines a packaging and assembly economy. The place where the final steps happened, the lowest value, lowest margin work in the entire chain. They were wrong, and they know it now. But here's what changed the equation permanently. Washington did. The United States, burned by its dependence on Taiwan for advanced chips and terrified by China's military aggression in the South China Sea, needed a new semiconductor partner in Asia. One that was strategically reliable, English-speaking, already embedded in the global chip supply chain. One that had signed the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, giving the U.S. military 9 base locations across the archipelago. The answer was the Philippines. American capital moved immediately. Samsung Electromechanics. Billions committed to Calamba for automotive chips. Murata Manufacturing. Billions more pledged inside Philippine borders. EMS Group. $1.6 billion secured in March 2025. Backed by American-aligned investors, to manufacture automotive power ICs in Luzon. Production starting 2026. The Create More Act rewrote the investment mathematics overnight. Lower corporate income tax, expanded power cost deductions, guaranteed VAT refunds, streamlined approvals. For the first time, the Philippines didn't just welcome semiconductor investment, it made the Philippines the most incentive-rich semiconductor destination in all of Southeast Asia. By 2026, the Philippine semiconductor market stands at $7.21 billion, projected to hit nearly $10 billion by 2031. America needed a chip partner it could trust. It found one. But here's the thing about number 5. You think a $49 billion semiconductor surge is impressive? Number 5 is the reason America can't replace us, even if it wanted to, and no other country on Earth can say that. Keep watching, because number 5 rewrites everything you thought you knew about who holds the real power in this relationship. Number 5, the youngest workforce in the world's fastest-moving economy. Here is a question for China, for Japan, for South Korea, for Thailand. What would you pay to have a median workforce age of 26? Because the Philippines doesn't have to pay anything. We already have it. The median age in the Philippines in 2026 is 26.6 years. Say that again slowly. While Japan's workforce is aging into retirement, while China faces the consequences of a generation lost to the one-child policy. While Thailand is projected to hit peak population around 2030, the Philippines is only reaching the apex of its working-age population in 2051. Let that sink in. We have 25 more years of demographic dividend left. Over 66% of our population is working age right now. Over 60% of Filipinos are under 35. And America has noticed. The United States military has recruited Filipinos for generations because they know what Filipino workers bring: discipline, loyalty, English fluency, adaptability under pressure. But in 2026, it is not just the military recruiting. American tech companies, staring down a domestic talent shortage and aging workforces, are looking at the Philippines' 26-year median age and seeing exactly what they need: a massive, tech-native, English-speaking workforce ready to power the next generation of American business operations. Here are the numbers they aren't broadcasting. In 2026, 46% of Filipino workers use generative AI monthly. The global average is 39%. In the 18 to 24 bracket, 64%. The World Economic Forum identified technological literacy and resilience as the two fastest-growing skills on Earth. Filipinos are already living them. Japan missed its demographic dividend. China is losing it. Thailand is watching it disappear. The Philippines is right in the middle of it. And American companies are here to capitalize on every single year of it. Now, forget everything you think you know about foreign investment, because number 4 isn't just about money flowing into the Philippines. It's about America building something here it cannot afford to lose. And the number attached to it will make your jaw drop. Don't skip number 4. This is where the story stops being about economics and starts being about power. Number 4. The foreign investment earthquake, with America leading the charge. Here's a number that should make every neighboring country in Southeast Asia nervous. 1.56 trillion pesos. That is what the Philippine Board of Investments approved in total investments in 2025 alone, the second consecutive year above that level. Japan, the United States, Singapore, South Korea. These are not charities. These are the world's most disciplined capital allocators, and they chose the Philippines in manufacturing, in digital infrastructure, in financial services, in renewable energy, twice in a row. But here is what makes 2026 different from every investment wave that came before it. America is not just investing in the Philippines economically. America is investing in the Philippines strategically. The Luzon Economic Corridor, a landmark agreement between the United States, the Philippines, Japan, and Australia. One of the most ambitious infrastructure investment programs in modern Asian history. American money, Japanese engineering, Filipino land, Australian partnership, all converging on one goal: building the Philippines into the economic backbone of a free and open Indo-Pacific. And the verdict from the world's most credible institutions? GDP growth of 5.1% in 2026, rising to 5.8% in 2027, with the Philippines needing 6% annual growth over the next decade to achieve high-income country status by 2040. The OECD didn't say that was impossible. They said it was the target. UBS, one of the world's most powerful investment banks, says Philippine growth momentum will strengthen across 2026. The World Economic Forum's chief said it directly. There is a real opportunity for the Philippines to become a $2 trillion economy. America isn't just noticing the Philippines. America is building the infrastructure to make sure the Philippines succeeds, because America needs the Philippines to succeed. And that is a level of partnership this nation has never had before. But wait, if you think America chose us because of investment returns and infrastructure plans, you're only seeing half the story. Number 3 is the reason America had no choice. It's the economic crisis America created for itself, and the only country on Earth positioned to solve it. Stay right there. Number 3 is coming. Number 3. The supply chain revolution. America needed an alternative to China, and it found one. Here is the question that kept American boardrooms awake at night for 3 straight years. If China cuts us off, what do we do? For 30 years, the world put its factories in China. Cheap labor, efficient ports, massive scale. Then everything collapsed. Geopolitical tensions, trade tariffs, COVID-19 supply chain shutdowns. The realization that depending on a single rival nation for everything was not just a risk, it was a weapon pointed at America's throat. When Chinese factories shut down, American shelves went empty. When chip supplies froze, American automakers halted production lines. When Beijing flexed its economic leverage, Washington finally understood what it had done. It had handed its most dangerous rival a loaded gun. The response was immediate. China +1. Find another country. Diversify. Reduce exposure, now. And the country American supply chain strategists kept returning to? The Philippines. English-speaking workforce, Western-aligned legal system, 9 American military installations across the archipelago, a government actively dismantling barriers for foreign investors, and a geographic position sitting directly at the edge of the South China Sea, the most strategically contested waterway on Earth. In 2026, the Philippine manufacturing sector is projected to reach $89.9 billion, production accelerating at its fastest rate in 10 years. South Korean firms are flooding in, Japanese firms are building production infrastructure across Luzon, and American capital is chasing semiconductor and tech manufacturing with urgency not seen since the Cold War era. We are not just a fallback option. We are the preferred destination. The global supply chain is restructuring around us. American strategic necessity is accelerating it. And the Philippine economy will absorb that investment for the next 2 decades. So, we've talked about chips, we've talked about workers, we've talked about investment, we've talked about supply chains. But number 2 is the one that hits every single Filipino family personally, because it's about the money you have already been sending home and the silent revolution happening to it right now that most Filipinos have completely missed. Number 2, right now, don't look away. Number 2, the remittance revolution. We are now the bank. Here's a question every Filipino already knows the answer to. How much did OFWs send home last year? Here are the numbers that answered it. $38.34 billion. In 2024 alone, 8.3% of the entire Philippine GDP, sent home by nurses, engineers, seafarers, domestic workers, and professionals, many of them working in America, doing what Filipinos have always done, carrying everyone else on their backs. The United States alone is the single largest source of OFW remittances to the Philippines. And for generations, American banks and Western financial institutions built empires on the fees they charged Filipino families to send their own money home. They charged you to move your own money. They made you wait 3 days to receive it, and they kept billions in profit doing it. In 2026, that era is over. GCash and Maya have transformed the remittance economy into a domestic financial ecosystem. Filipino fintech companies have now captured 41% of Philippines-bound remittance flows. 41% of a $38 billion annual river of money, moving through Filipino-built technology, generating Filipino profits, circulating through Filipino communities. And here's the number that should terrify Western financial institutions. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas blockchain remittance program has demonstrated an 87% reduction in transfer costs. Settlement time collapsed from 3 days to 11 minutes. 11 minutes. The old American model charged you 5% and made you wait. The new Filipino model charges almost nothing and delivers in minutes. And the Filipino-American community, 4.2 million strong, the second largest Asian American group in the United States, is at the center of this revolution. They are not just sending money home anymore. They are building the financial infrastructure that will move money for the world's 280 million migrant workers. They built it for themselves. Now they're selling it to everyone else. And yet, with everything you've just heard, number one is still the one that surprises people most. Not because the numbers are bigger, because of what it says about where the world is going, and where the Philippines is already standing. Number one changes the entire conversation. Watch it. You need to see this. Number one, the tourism and infrastructure detonation. America just discovered our backyard. Here's something America's travel industry didn't see coming. At the 2025 World Travel Awards for Asia and Oceania, one country swept 6 major titles. Not Thailand, not Bali, not Japan. Asia's leading beach destination, Asia's leading dive destination, Asia's leading island destination. 6 titles, 1 country, the Philippines. The World Travel and Tourism Council confirmed what every Filipino already knew. The Philippines is not a destination. It is the destination. In 2025, Philippine travel and tourism contributed 5.9 trillion pesos to the economy, a new all-time record. 21% of national GDP. 11.7 million Filipinos working in this single sector. And Americans are arriving in numbers nobody predicted. New direct routes from San Francisco, Seattle, and Vancouver are now connecting the Filipino-American diaspora directly to the islands, without the punishing layovers that kept millions of Filipino Americans from coming home. The floodgates are open. And here's the number that has American investors paying attention. Every peso invested in Philippine tourism generates an estimated return of 450%. Not 50, not 100, 450%. 4 to 6 year income tax holidays, customs duty exemptions, the most aggressive infrastructure program in Philippine history, multi-billion-dollar airport expansions, new international routes, medical concierge services for health tourists, a digital travel platform built for the 21st century traveler. And for the first time, an e-visa for American remote workers who want to live in paradise while working for U.S. companies. We are not just asking the world to visit anymore, we are asking America to stay. What this all means. Let's be brutally clear about what you just heard. This is not a coincidence. This is not luck. America, the most powerful economy on Earth, has made a strategic calculation. China is a risk. The Philippines is the answer. And when you layer American strategic investment on top of a nation with the youngest major workforce in Asia, the fastest growing tech adoption on the continent, a semiconductor sector breaking into the top tier, a supply chain revolution flowing to our shores, a fintech industry dismantling 50 years of Western financial exploitation, and a tourism sector the entire world is finally discovering, you don't get gradual growth, you get an explosion. The OECD said it, the Asian Development Bank said it, the World Economic Forum said it, UBS said it, and now Washington is saying it with billions of dollars. The Philippines is not a developing nation waiting for its moment. The Philippines is a nation whose moment has arrived, and America, for its own strategic reasons, needs that moment to succeed. Which means for the first time in modern history, Filipino ambition and American power are pointing in exactly the same direction. The question is no longer whether the Philippine economy will explode. The question is whether every Filipino, at home and abroad, knows it is already happening. This story will not be told by the mainstream media. They are still writing about China. They haven't looked at what is building here yet. But they will. And when they do, the Filipinos who understood this first, who invested first, who built first, who believed first, will already be standing at the center of something historic. That Filipino could be you. Which of these 6 forces hit you hardest? Are you watching the Philippine economy from abroad, or are you building it from inside? Drop a comment, share this video, because the world doesn't know this story yet, but we do. And now, so does everyone watching this.